Vincent, the global pharma industry had not a bad run last year, considering there was a risk rally and there was a rebound in the banks. Generally a torrid time of it over longer periods. What are the prospects for 2013, do you think?
I actually think they're looking up, although pharma has been a bit of a disappointment over a sort of 10-year period. If you look at pharma stocks, they've been trailing the market, I think, on a sort of global or global basis. I think things are looking up because they're turning a couple of corners, but there are some very strong headwinds still in front of them. We're not even talking about the patent cliff, which is the thing that has been dominating the industry for the last decade or so.
So what are the good things to expect?
Well, good things. I think that number one is that new drug approvals look to be on the up. This is a major point, I think, for the industry as a whole, is that their pretty dismal record of new drug approvals over the last decade could be changing for the better. There's a fair number in the pipeline, and some of the estimates for potential sales from these drugs are very high. And the other good point for them is emerging markets. They're taking emerging markets very seriously. They're opening factories there. They're pushing in big ways. They have sales forces, etc. So those two things, I think, are two big positives for the industry.
And we know they're defensive. We know they're extremely cash flow generative. We know they've got large net cash balances. Another positive, I believe, is that they're cutting costs more aggressively.
Well, they are, because they have to. But you see, they've been doing it for a while. I mean, the defining issue for the industry over the last few years has been the patent cliff, and their sort of default response has been to cut costs as they lose patent rights over certain big drugs. Actually, it's not really working. I mean, pharma, yes, they can cut costs. There's lots of room for cutting costs. But where the cost problem really manifests itself most is in R&D. This is where it's very unproductive. But that's still a big challenge for the industry. They're not really addressing their unproductive R&D problem.
And putting aside the patent cliff, is the growth in the emerging markets enough to offset the austerity-related slowdown?
I would say no, as a sort of one-word answer. But China is growing much faster as a proportion of sales for a lot of these companies, and they have been very conscious, for some time now of the austerity-driven sort of health cuts in Europe and in America. But the really big markets are reasonably robust. So the US, the sort of northern European countries, and you have growing budgets in the likes of China and India, and so I think they probably balance each other out. I'm not sure that they offset each other necessarily. That say EM sales would actually, be a higher generator of revenues than what they're losing in Europe. But it's one of those sort of macro challenges that the industry faces from time to time that they really have to deal with.
Okay, well, some of that turnaround is in the price, obviously. They're still trading at a significant premium to market, but things do sound better, so thank you very much, Vincent.